Hi, everyone. New journal today. In recent journals, or at least recent these, I know I've talked about being completionist. I've done that before. I think in the context was like Dragon Quest, me, and like leveling up to the max and saving all the seeds and all that. But I do it with everything. I mean, there's a pathology. There's a pathological completionism. I think by the time we get to like the DSM 9 or maybe the 8 or something, like obsessive completionism disorder will be diagnosable. I mean, that'll be characterized, and like I'll be patient zero. There'll be this sort of qualitative list of diagnostic criteria. Yeah, like if you go to the doctor and you're getting a diagnosis of like ADHD or CFS, myalgic encephalomyelitis, something like this, they're just constellations of symptoms and sort of qualitative, like, is it poor sleep? Is it focus? Whatever. And if you have enough stars in that sky, the diagnosis belongs to you. That's your sky. I think it would be similar with obsessive completionism disorder, except there's one star. There's like a north star shining brighter than the rest, and you have to have that one. And it's an irritation with people who are not completionists. And so that's the theme of the journal. But there's a second theme, and that second theme is actually, which I'll talk about really after the journal, and that's music. And that's what makes this one of my favorites. It's not done yet, I'm doing it now, but it's one of my favorites that I'm, the verb of it is among my most cherished, because there's 3 songs that play. Technically there's one song and 3 different versions of it, and the first 2 are going to be by me, and the third version, the final version, is by Aaron Lum. And so I'll get there after the journal. I'm going to read the journal now. After that, stick around and we play some songs. We play some song in different versions of it, but here's the journal first. Journal 88, Saturday, October 12th, 2024, Disimmersion by Fantasy Non-Songs. Hi, everyone. I've never owned a house or a condo or even a timeshare. During my adult years, I've lived in 5 states, and everywhere in each of them was a rental, too many to count. What I haven't lost count of is the number of doors within those rentals in which the top or bottom surface was painted. That number is 0. Every door I've ever opened had an unpainted top and bottom because the painters figured no one would look or rub a finger along its coarse surface. Which is exactly what I do to all of them, because I have obsessive completionism disorder. And in my adult years, I've never lived anywhere with a complete door. So I'm irritated every time I open one. It's the same irritation I feel when I open a novel and find incompletionism hiding in its pages. Take Tolkien, for example. The languages in The Lord of the Rings worked because they were real, they were whole. There were no unpainted portions of vocabulary. He covered the whole door. Accordingly, I felt immersed walking through it. His songs, though, these did not work for me because they weren't real, they weren't whole. There was never an actual song. He just pretended his unmusical poetry was lyrics, which is a really good way to write really bad songs, really bad music. Whether you enjoyed his poetry is a different matter. But just as Tolkien's fantasy map and languages inspired uncountable future authors in all 50 states and beyond to include their own maps and languages, minstrel songs are a post-Tolkien staple in fantasy too. And rarely do I not cringe, because the craft of songwriting is very different from the craft of novel writing. There's a tendency among beginners to clothe every second of the song in vocals, afraid to let the instrumentation stand bare. That's rarely pleasing to the ear, but much less pleasing is the giant cinder block of sentences with corny rhymes and the exact same number of syllables in every line, with the implication that the intonation is also identical from beginning to end. No changes of cadence or structure between verse and chorus, no room for melisma or fermata or any other manipulation of syllables. It's an identical sequence of mouth sounds over and over and over, from the first line to the last, all of them rhyming cornily. That might work in poetry, but as a song, it's unbearable. Even beginners rarely bludgeon the listener with this kind of monotony. And yet, according to this fantasy story I'm reading, these are legendary songs written by legendary musicians. Whenever I encounter such songs, it ruins my immersion because I would hate to live anywhere, even Rivendell or the most heavenly Shire, if the best music on the planet oppresses its listener. And this seems to be that kind of planet. So I often stop reading at the first appearance of lyrics. With Tolkien, I don't close the book, I just skim until the song ends, then I resume reading. I have a similar problem with musicians in movies, except here, it's not the songs they're pretending to play, it's how they're pretending to play them, by acting. They spend a week, sometimes months, practicing their lines, expressions, mannerisms, inhabiting their character, preparing for the scene, but at no point did they learn how to hold a guitar, let alone hold it in such a way that a real chord is being played, let alone strum it in a non-hilarious way, let alone write an entire language before quoting it. In these situations, all I see is an unpainted door, and walking through that doorway disimmerses me from the story. Okay, that is it. That's the journal, but there's more to come. The music is to come. If you've been watching these journals, you'll know that I sometimes talk about art, visual art, and like for the book series, Aaron Lum and me, we've done a ton of art. I think in the first book, that was all me, the watercolors for the front and back cover, pencil drawings for the interior art. But in book 2, Aaron Lum has some artwork that he's like years ago. And in future books, he's done a bunch of artwork. And we have future projects for that artwork. So some of it's completed, more of it's to come. And so he and I have been working side by side forever on art. And so when it comes time to do a song, I'm going to paint the whole door, right? I'm going to write the actual song. And so that's what this is. What's coming up, what I'm going to show you, is a song from Book 1, Part 2, the upcoming book. And the first one I'm going to show you is my first draft. It's sloppy, okay? I just finished writing it, like 30 seconds, or maybe like 3 minutes before, because I did sort of a bad take. Where I'm just sitting over there. It's a Zoom call. It's this exact setup. I just put my computer on, it's a piano bench that I use for like a little ottoman over there. And it's just my computer sitting over there. And I'm just playing and singing on Zoom. And I just finished writing the song. I sort of played through it, testing out how the vocals would work with the melody and everything. And then I decided, like, okay, maybe this will work. So I hit record, and that's the take you get. And I was happy with it when it ended, not because of my performance. I'm not happy with my performance because I'm not like talented in that way. Like I'm singing badly and stuff. But the lyrics, the words, and the melody that the words go through, I was satisfied with that. So I exported it. And that's what I'm going to show you first. And then I'm going to show you some different versions of the song. But in this one, I'm like staring. It looks like I'm staring at the camera, like what I'm doing now. I'm not. Like I feel like as though I'm trying to make it like emotional and like sensual or something. I'm not doing that. I don't know the lyrics. I just finished writing the lyrics and I don't know any of them, and the lyrics are on the screen. And so that's what I'm looking at. And this, like, you'll see me close my eyes too. Again, this is not me acting. This is not me like trying to be personal for the performance or something. This is me being a bad singer, and I have to eliminate distraction. I can't have all this clutter, this visual clutter and stuff, distracting me from what the pitch is. I want to come in on key. And so you'll notice, like, I'll close my eyes a little bit. So I'm not trying to make this like emotional and sensual and stuff. So with that caveat in place, here is my first Zoom take of the song, and then stay tuned afterward and I'll talk more and play some other iterations of the song. Listen to me uncertain, now we're spinning slowly. The madness smiles, crooked heart streets, an empty album cage. ring is told from those bells. I follow them below. 'Cause home is right where you'll find me. You can hear old stuff at some other sea. I've seen how those shadows cast past through dreams. Okay, so that's one of Rorik's songs in the upcoming book, The Crown and the Caged God, Book 1, Part 2. There's a tavern scene, and Rorik, the character, writes and plays this song, that exact song. And since it's his, he can call it whatever he wants. He titles it Home. Everyone else in the book calls it Some Bird's Return, and for good reason. That's what the song should be called. Rorik is the only one who doesn't call it that, who calls it Home. But in Book 1, Part 1, if you don't remember, maybe you haven't read the book and then you should read it. But in Book 1, Part 1, there's this place where I describe Rorik as uncoverable. His songs are irreproducible. No other minstrel can come along and play them. It just doesn't sound right. When there's a magicianship in Rorik's musicianship. I mean, think like, I don't know, John Lennon or Kurt Cobain or somebody like this, where when somebody else covers their songs, the magic is lost. And so this is my bad cover, my impossible cover of like an impossible to cover Rorik song, or at least this is my Zoom attempt at that. But so once I decided that it was good enough, that one was, I left my sofa over there, and with the same guitar I was playing on. That's my Sandbag. That's my practice. I've had it since I was a teenager. And I went to the back room, my music room, with that guitar and the one I inherited from Julie Abendroth. They have different sounds, and the guitars accompany each other well. And I used my music computer. I had 3 mics going. I had a vocal mic, a guitar mic, and then a room mic all going at the same time. And I use Sonar software to record. And so I recorded my final version of the song. Again, even this one isn't that good. It sounds a lot different. It sounds better. But this is immediately after that one. I'm still not, I haven't practiced. I'm not good at it. And I still don't know the lyric. Like today, if I were to play it right now, I can play and sing without looking at anything. But this is, again, right after I did that, I went into the other room. And so I wrote out the lyrics, so I could just tape them up. And so when I'm singing, I'm looking at a thing. I'm looking at the lyrics. And so I'll show those to you. I'll have the actual lyrics scrolling. Because otherwise, if you're just in the audio, it can be hard to make out what it is I'm saying. So that I will play for you now. Listen to the uncertain. We're spinning slowly, let madness smile, crooked heart straight, and empty out the cage. Ocean waves, never born blue, mother breaking brightly, as a band of shells sing funeral songs, that grief rings on and on. Hiding the fireflies and see their guiding light fade, but I know the way, sleep blessed waves, gravity pulling me. I've seen how those shadows cast pass through dreams. Yesterday we grieve the loss as we walk the miles of an emptiness. But when morning climbs, we start to swim, and tomorrow's sun will rise again to find some birds return. Tomorrow we'll find some birds return. Tomorrow we'll find some birds return. Okay, so that was Some Birds Return, according to everybody but Rorik, but that was Home, according to Rorik. But that's just a version of it. That was just like my cover version of Rorik's song. Songs can take on any number of personalities, depending on the personality of the performer, right? Who's playing and singing it. And I wanted this one to have a different personality, like a more energetic nature. And I wasn't going to do that on my own, so I reached out to my two old bandmates. I mean, it's been over a decade, but we used to write songs together all the time. And so I reached, and they're so amazing, both of them, and they can just imbue songs with this energy like no one else. And so I reached out to both of them, and one of them sort of heartbreakingly hasn't played in half a dozen years, but the other one is Aaron Lum, and Aaron was totally into the idea. He loved the idea. This is the idea that I gave him, okay, it's like the Middle Ages, it's Renaissance, you know, it's like rewind the world a little bit, and you're in this tavern, and some like troubadours on stage and plays a song, and you decide that you're gonna play it, you're gonna cover it, you know, in some other tavern, but you don't have sheet music, right? That's not how songs were spread back then. You don't have a sheet of lyrics, you have nothing, and all you have is what you see and hear, and then you have to recreate that out of your memory. And so all I sent Lum was my Zoom recording, that first one. I didn't send him my Sonar recording because I didn't want to bias his vision out of his ears. And so all he had was a Zoom recording. But I did tell him one more thing, which is the last line in the song. I said, you know, Some Birds Return. I said that this is, you know, because he asked what the song is about, and so like, give me some feedback to get started here. You know, what are the rules? And so I told him, like, it's Some Birds Return is really the theme of the song. It's about Rorik's home, right, which is why Rorik calls it home, being destroyed. And so there has to be some of that emotion, sort of a murky feeling to some of the emotion. But then this uplifting Some Birds Return line being repeated more times than I did in mine. I said, Some Birds, just say it over and over, because in the book, it's like, let's raise our pints and sing along, chant along with that one line. And I said, like, it's okay if the song changes. You know, if your meter is different and your melodies are different and stuff, and my exact lyrics don't quite work, even if you figure them out perfectly and they don't quite work, you change them a little bit, make it your own, like, sort of put your own soul and heart into this song. And he did, and the rules, I said, he's like, well, what are the rules here? Like, obviously no AI of any kind touching any. I don't want AI touching anything. And I didn't need to say that, because Lum is exactly as horrified by the soulless, you know, lack of humanity encroaching in the arts. And so he's very active in music, and he's just 100% heart. And so I didn't need to say that rule. I just, you know, I did anyway. And then the other rule I said is, like, the electricity doesn't exist in my world, so it has to be acoustic. It doesn't just have to be like acoustic guitar. Like, I played harmonica in mine. And so, you know, woodwinds exist. And like, Lum is an amazing, like, his woodwindmanship is astonishing. But so I told him, he didn't play that in his, but I told him, just like, anything non-electric, that's right, you can drums, whatever, just can't have electricity. So that was the only rule. And there's like 2 days later, maybe 3 days later tops, Lum sends me his song. I think it was 2 days later. He sends me a song, and I love it. And so that's what I'm going to play for you now.
Racing to the uncertain, we're spinning slowly. Madness pulls on crooked heartstrings. It empties out of the cage. Crows the rooster's warnings. Ocean waves never born blue, but they're breaking oh so brightly. Echo shells and funeral songs, just the way things are, the way things are now. Hope is hiding with the fireflies. I see the garden not fade, but I know the way. Sleepers in waves, gravity pulling me out of the blue. Approach this city. Another ring is toiled from those spells. I follow them below. As old as the falling rain, you can only rise up if someone will see. I've seen those shadows cast past your dreams. Yesterday, yes, breathe the loss. As we walk down the miles of an empty nest, when morning climbs, we start to sing along. Then tomorrow, sun will rise again. Find some birds return. Tomorrow find some birds return. Yeah, some birds return. Some birds return. Some birds return. Yeah, some birds return. Tomorrow find some birds return. Some birds return. Some birds return. Yeah, tomorrow we'll find some birds return. Yeah, we'll find some birds return. Oh, yeah, birds return. Tomorrow some birds return. Some birds return. Tomorrow we'll find some birds return. Yeah, some birds return. Tomorrow we'll find some birds. Some birds return. Yeah. Some birds return. Some birds return. Tomorrow we'll find some birds return. Some birds return. Yeah, some birds return.
Okay, that was Lum's version, and I love, like, isn't it good? When I was showing in the background, because I already showed you the lyrics, since there's no point, like, let me just stream the lyrics again, because I don't even know what his are. You know, he didn't send me his lyrics. I know there's differences here and there. So what I showed you, we did we did like 100 paintings together, and we used to paint on the same canvases at the same time, and these two huge ones that we did, one massive and one pretty huge that we did together. That's what I was showing you, was those canvases. One of them we did finish, and the other one isn't quite finished yet, but he moved to Japan a really long time time ago. And so we can't paint on the same canvases anymore. That's why the painting isn't finished. The smaller one isn't finished yet because we can't do it together. And so we still do art projects together pretty frequently, but it's a design. You go back and forth sort of designing things and ideas, and one of us paints the final draft. And so if you look at like the map for the Miap for the Fables, the Mundus Miap, that Lum painted the final draft of because his style is perfect for it. But his style was also, I thought, perfect for this one. And so in the way that we design art now, we did the same thing with music, whereas one of us does the final, and I just loved Lum's version. But I'll end here, and I hope you have people in your life, old friends, new friends, whatever, that you can do these art projects with. Call it crafting, whatever it is that you're doing. It's so rewarding to share the arts with someone, so I hope you have that. All right, bye everyone.